everyone, it's Tamara from Dr. Digi Stamps here with another card making tutorial this week with a new release that's coming up for Father's Day. The new release is called Dad DIY. This is the image. So today I'm just going to be doing a bit of Copic colouring so you can see how we colour him up, and then doing a very simple card making process video after that. So let's get started with some Copic colouring. Okay, so we've got our image already coloured up, and I've got him actually cut out to the perfect size that I need for him for this card. I've already done some pre-cutting because there is a little bit to do. So the first thing that I did was, because I don't actually have any frame dies, I actually do need to buy some of those because that would make it so much easier. What I've done is I've gotten to rectangle sizes, and I've just evenly space them out so that it will create a frame like I have done here. So I just wanted a kind of timber look to go with the theme of Dad working with some timbers, making his own DIY project. So I've already pre-cut 2 frames because I obviously want to get that frame lifted up and give it a bit of dimension. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how I actually cut those so that they fit perfectly with the timber frame that I'd made. So I've already pre-cut the larger rectangle out, as you can see there, and then I have my frame ready to go. So what I do is just line that up. If you're a little bit nervous, you can just use some 3M tape just to hold that in place. But what I have done is just got the smaller of the rectangles, and you just can slot it in there and you'll just feel it hit the right spot. And then I just use my removable tape, just pop it around the edges to keep that in place, and then I'll just take that over to the die cutting machine. So it's great having any spare, like for me, the main ones that I've ever used would be shape dies, especially rectangle, but yeah, circle and square is always good, but they are quite good for just making sure you get a proper sized rectangle, because I know sometimes when you cut with the cutting machine it can go a bit askew. So we'll remove all the 3M, the removable tape from there, and that should have cut out a perfect frame for us, so you can just save that for another project. So now we've got our 3 frames ready to go, so we'll just glue those together and then obviously put our timber top on that at the end. So I'll grab my glue. We'll just stick that down. So you want to make sure you get a very good coverage to make sure that all of them stick together, especially around those edges so that they don't lift. And we'll pop our first frame in place. Obviously you just want to line that up, make sure that it's all in the correct place. And I've just realized I've put it on upside down, so let's just take that off, because we'll be able to save it, because obviously we've got 3 of them to go and we've got the timber to go on top. So we'll reapply some glue on that one. Got to really pay attention when you're doing card making. So easy to put something on back to front, upside down, the wrong way. We'll get that back on and make sure we've got it the right way. So that's the right way this time. So we'll get that on, and yeah, that lines up a little bit better. So you could see it wasn't quite lining up before we put it on the wrong way, because obviously it's not quite square because I didn't measure. This is what happens, you should always measure, but I always eyeball it, which sometimes doesn't work out. So we'll put some more glue on that. Looks like I might need some more glue soon. The other side, and make sure we've got that one around the right way. Let's see, that is the better way to do it, and that lines up perfectly. So just make sure it's all lined up. That looks really good. Now, one good trick that I did learn from Laura Davallo is sometimes with your die cuts you might get some little furbies. So she just uses a little nail file, and that just gets rid of any of those little furry bits that might stick on there, because they can be quite noticeable when you put your card together. So I just do it around all the sides, and you can see all the little furbies. I'm not sure if you can actually see that on camera, but I'll flick that off. You'll see them coming off. Now we want to put our timber frame on last. Let's make sure that's lined up. So I'll put it that way. Yep, that looks good. So we'll flip that to the side on the right way and put our final lot of glue on there. It looks good. We'll flip our little timber panel on, line that up as best we can, and then make sure it's properly lined up. So that looks good. So it just gives it that little bit of dimension. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but just makes it look so much better with a bit of dimension. Now, I've already cut my card base, so I'm just doing a 5x7 card, but obviously if you're like me in Australia we go centimeters, so the card base, the front measures 17.5 by 12.5. So but obviously you can print out your Dr. DIY image any way that you want. Sorry, DIY dad image. So let's get started with putting the base on. So what we might do is actually put the base straight onto the dad image. So we'll just put a little bit of glue around each side for that frame to stick on. So we want to just line it up to make it as centered as possible. So that looks pretty good. And then we just want to press that down. You can see I've reused some cardstock there. Waste not, want not. So that sticks that image there. And you can see the dimension that you get when you've got in there. So it kind of looks like a nice little timber frame that Dad could have made himself. Now, if you're anything like me, this white frame around it's annoying me a little bit, so I've just grabbed just a Copic marker and I'm just going to go around the edge and just get rid of that stark white. So hopefully that will blend in with the wood grain finish of your timber frame a little bit better than the stark white is at the moment. You don't have to do this, but I was looking at the white and thinking, no, that's just too bright. Just a light colouring there just to get rid of that bright white. That looks good. Now another thing I should have done, so you could use a coloured cardstock that matches in, but obviously I just had the white on hand, so I used that. So move that out of the way. What I should have done also before I stuck my frame on is put my sentiment on. I just have a sentiment from this Dad's one from Honeybee Stamp called Father's Day, but Dr. Digi has a lot of great Father's Day sentiments as a pack that you can buy. So have a look at those and they could work well. They just didn't quite fit with my card layout, so that's why I'm just using this other type. So we'll pop the frame in my Misty, put that down, and then I've got my sentiment here, which is best dad ever. So I thought that looked really good just sitting down at the bottom there. And we're just going to line that up so that that looks like it's evenly spaced between the two edges of the frame. So that's looking pretty good. Make sure it looks straight. And let's hope that frame does not get in the way when we actually are stamping down. So I've just got my Onyx Black, which you know is my go-to one. We'll stamp that up. And let's see if this comes down. It looks like it's going to work. And we might just give that just a second stamp, just to make sure we've got a nice impression there. That looks great. Okay, so now that we're finished with the sentiment, the frame's ready, we've done the outside. We can stick that to our card. So we've already obviously got a bit of dimension with the frame, so it's most probably going to be best just to stick it down straight onto the cardstock. Otherwise you might just get quite a big card happening if you do anything else. So you can see all my little pictures on the back here. Sometimes you print stuff off and then decide you don't need it, or it's the wrong size, so you use the other side. You can see my image colouring coming through. Looks like it's enough. So we'll stand up, make sure that it's open to the right side, and we'll just pop that down. Try and centre it as much as possible. That's looking pretty good. And that's looking pretty good. So you can either like just pop a book or something on that just to make sure that adheres well, or just give it a really good press. But that's looking really good. So that's the end project for our card today. I hope you had fun, and I can't wait to see what cards you create with Dad DIY. Have a great week. Bye.